Welcome. Yeah. Okay. This is exciting. You guys know me. And if you don't know me, my name is Konkoly. Welcome to our conversation today. This is part 2 of a conversation with Cassie Lane about an injectables business, starting a business, taking your first steps to get there, which I know for so many of you, and I know this because you tell me that it is hard sometimes to move into action and like, where do I even start? So Cassie is going to talk with us a little bit today about some tips, how to get started, and we'll roll through it. So if you have questions, comments, please leave them in the chat or in the comment section so that we can address them. And welcome, Cassie. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. All
right. Okay, Cassie, for those people who didn't see you the first time for part 1, and if you didn't, go back and watch it. For those people who didn't see you, tell us just a little bit about yourself and just reintroduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Cassie Lane. My background is I'm a nurse anesthetist. I started doing aesthetics, specifically neurotoxin, Botox-like injections and filler injections. And it's my own business. I contract a medical director to help me out, but I'm the one running everything. And it's been really fun. It's been great. I will say part 1 was so fun too. I even had a local Richmond NP, shout out, you know who you are, book a Botox party with me. And it was so fun. She saw me here.
Okay. And so how long have you been in this business? Just remind us.
It's been about a year.
About a year now. And so your main focus is to not only provide the service of Botox and is it okay to say neuromodulators, or are they neurotoxins?
Yep, you can use them interchangeably. Okay, typically we just say Botox and that covers all of them. It's just easier. It's the most well-known. Okay. But usually when I'm saying Botox, I'm covering all those.
Okay. All right. So you've been in this business about a year, and then you provide the service to people for Botox. And then in addition, you also help other advanced practice nurses figure shit out, like how to do their own, right? Okay. That's a part of this.
There's kind of 2 arms of my business. One is geared at injecting clients with Botox. The other arm of my business is helping other providers, specifically NPs. I'm geared 100% at NPs, and that includes CRNAs, at helping them get started. I have a website that's geared to anybody who's medical providers that's looking to get information. That's all free. That website is injectablesedu.com. There's a ton of great starter info, and that's for anybody who wants to get started. But I offer consulting and training services specifically to NPs.
Okay, good. All right. So tell us a little bit about your kind of, if I'm an NP or a CRNA and I'm like, boy, I really want to do injectables, and that Cassie, she's got those Botox parties. I kind of want to get in on that, right? Yeah. Okay. So what do I do? Like, what steps do I take first?
I would say great place to start is Injectables EDU to get some questions answered. The next big thing that you want to do, and this is a big hurdle for people, is to figure out what are your state laws, because it's not a blanket across the states. And we're going to talk about NPs today because that's who's here and that's my specialty. But there is a ton of variation about how NPs can practice. And in some states, APRNs can be their own medical director. In some states, you need to have a medical director, and there are even variations inside of that. In some states, you need something that's called an MSO, and any medical spa needs to be owned by a physician. And then in all the other states, your business, thankfully, Virginia is this way. We do not need an MSO. Can be owned by you. And there is a way to work the MSO where you bring in a physician as like a part owner. There's a way to do that. So yeah, I thought it would be good today to just do a rundown of how somebody could individually start looking into their own state, where those resources are, to figure out if this is something that you could take past an interest and actually implement. The number one, and I have an outline, there is an article I wrote on my website that has all this information, and it's called like how to figure out injecting state laws, something along those lines.
Okay.
But I'm going to go over the information that I have there. The first place to go is, after you've done some basic internet stuff, is to contact your state's professional association. So for me, that would be the Virginia Association of Nurse Anesthetists,
Okay.
or your local AANP. So go to your state. So you should hopefully be paying dues to be a part of these professional associations.
And hold on, Cassie, let's just put a plug in for the realities of, if we do not support our agencies at the state level, we cannot bitch and moan about the fact that we might not have full practice authority. So let's just make that very clear. It's a strong feeling that I have. I don't know if you share this,
I agree.
but I am a huge proponent of our professional organizations are in place to work for us. They cannot do that work unless we support them financially with membership. So
100%.
my plug. You heard my bit. All right.
And I will say this is the one group that's out there advocating for you as a professional. And that's why it's the number one place to go check out. And there are lawyers that work for the AANP. And those are your resources as well. So hopefully you're not the first person to ask this. Hopefully there's some information from those people who are trying to advocate for you.
Okay.
That's the best place.
Okay.
The next great place to look is to find somebody doing what you want to do in your state. And I say try and find a creative way, or at least be persistent, because you're not going to send like one Facebook message to somebody and be like, hey, what do I need to know?
Give me your whole business plan and
Exactly.
your entire strategy.
Yes. I've literally had people be like, here's my email. Could you just send me some information over about how to get started? I'm like, you need to be a little bit more specific. You have to have done some upfront work before you're going to reach out to somebody else doing this. So be mindful of this person's time as you're doing it. It's okay to reach out and say you want to pick somebody's brain, and people do want to help, but can I buy you a cup of coffee? Just get creative. If there's something you can bring to the table to help them, I don't know, but follow up.
Can we talk too for just a moment too about that? Because it's, I think, as a business owner, and I know as a business owner, there is a fine line between, right, the amount that we give, not because, right, if we come from a standpoint of abundance and we say, there's nothing proprietary except for what's literally protected by, a trademark. There's nothing necessarily proprietary about what I do, right? I put a spin on it. I use techniques that many people use. Like, I don't own all the shit that I use. I don't own all the tools. I didn't design all the tools, but I use them in a way that's customized and unique, which makes me stand out. So if you come from the standpoint of like, well, if I believe in abundance and I believe that we all have our own individual flair and spin to put on the services and products that we create and thus provide, then when people say, can I pick your brain on something? Right? It's not, think about it this way. If you're sitting in the seat of the business owner, one must be choosy about how she spends her time. And so if I spend most of my time during the week giving away, resource advices, tips, maybe I monetize it, maybe I don't, then I don't do the work that I am, wanting to do and to contribute to. So I think too, the other, I agree with you 100% on the, like, get a little creative in how you do it. I usually ask people, hey, would you like to meet for a Zoom coffee? I'd love to hear more about you and your business, right? Instead of like, give it to me. You can send me the information to my DM. You can email.
I'd love to. I don't have anything else going on. I'm not very busy. Well, and be prepared in that same vein. I think you need to be prepared and actually expect to pay. If you would like to shadow somebody, and like I have shadowing opportunities for my business, and I charge a fee for that. And I think in some ways too, it's also weeding out people who aren't really that interested. But again, it's this person's time. You're seeing under the hood how they've worked very hard to create this business. So I think it's great if you can find another injector who's going to say, come on, maybe you have a personal relationship there. That's wonderful. But, I can say for me, I have a program set up where I'm like, I would love to come teach you. This is what I charge for this consulting. And then, we're both taking it really seriously. I'm helping you out, you're helping me out. Favor, it's not a favor. You're professionally developing yourself, and that's an investment, and that's on you.
Completely agree. Setting those terms, being very clear from the get-go. And remember, we all in this group who are interested in side hustles, you must have at the foundation of your understanding, when you begin to understand that your time is money, you will be very choosy about how you spend your time.
Yep.
So it's the same way it goes for, right? So it's a mindset shift to just consider making now, with these words of wisdom from Cassie, but also starting to think about, okay, look, like this is a service, this is an expertise, it has been honed and crafted, and so there is likely to be a fee.
Yeah. And do your prep work coming in, save yourself that money too. Like, if you want to get started in Injectables EDU is going to give you this huge breadth of where to go and how to find stuff. And it's going to get you to a place that you'd be ready to talk to a provider. And you know what questions to ask. You could say, oh, I'd love to, you could even come up with a price of like, what do you think about, I could pay, I don't know. But like I said, have a plan, come in, get creative. I think you're going to have a better response than just saying, I'd like to open a med spa. Can you tell me about it? The person's going to be like, that's a Pandora's box.
Yes. Or think about it this way too. I remember we have an opportunity to barter. So not all trades happen with cash. And, a lot of them do. We monetize things. The reality is though, we can get very creative about the ways in which we barter, right? Yeah. So if you have something to offer to that person, maybe you can offer it in exchange for, a 20 or 30 minute session on, how can I start my injectables business, right? There's opportunities, get creative, and think outside the box.
So the next place I would look, this is the most expensive option, and that's a medical malpractice attorney.
Okay.
So they're gonna be, you want to find somebody that has background in this and knows aesthetics, because it is different, and this gets very pricey. And the hard thing is too, a lot of times for NPs, the answer is it's kind of a gray area. Lawyers never will give you this black and white answer, but also too, just practicing in aesthetics as an NP in many states, and this includes CRNAs, is a bit of a gray area. So you want to make sure that you're, doing your best to be in your scope of practice, covering yourself, having all your policies and procedures, having, just all the appropriate documentation. If you were ever to need to come in front of the nursing board or have them ask you any questions, you want to have all your ducks in a row. And I think NPs are great at that. So we can do that. It's just doing a lot of prep work, knowing where to look. And it's not unlikely that you'll need to bring in a lawyer to answer some questions, but that does start to rack up. And I know that personally.
Yeah. And two, I guess the other piece that I would comment on too, is when we begin to invest in, this is an important step in investment often, right? We have a craft, we have something to share, and we want to protect it. We want to protect our assets. We want to protect the credentials that we have worked hard to earn. And so the legal fees associated often with hiring a lawyer, whatever it is, if it's for legal disclaimers on your website or with the programs and services you provide, it's often, it is an investment, and it's an investment likely in the protection of you down the road and the services you provide. So when you look at it from that standpoint, it helps. The other piece there too is that when we often start to make these moves or say like, how do I move into action? What's the first step? Steps 1, 2, 3. It can become, just to even hear you, like the hair on my arm stood up when I heard you say, policies and procedures, because it took me back
Yeah.
Right. It took me back to being medical director of a clinic and thinking about the binders and the SOPs. And so look, is it a problem? No, it's not a problem that I can't stand SOPs. The issue is not that. The issue is that if that's not my jam and I don't do that well, what do? I look for someone who does, because there are plenty of nurses and plenty of other people around who are either on Upwork or Fiverr who would, like this, be able to help you construct an SOP, a standard operating procedure manual, so that you don't get your ass is covered pretty much as best it can be, because we can't prevent all, but it's covered, in the event that you do have to go in front of the nursing board. So look.
Yeah. And there is an SOP that I recommend that I could get people in touch with. I would say for any state that requires a medical director for nurse practitioners, I'm a great stop before you go to that lawyer, because my startup consulting package incorporates a lot of stuff that you may not even have to go that route, because I've done so much of this research and legwork. So Virginia, of course, but any state where you're needing a medical director or a collaborative physician, my startup consulting, and I do 30 minutes for free just to see, help answer some basic questions, get you on the right track, is a great place. And I have lots of great forums. Actually, I can tell you what I include in my package is collaborative agreement, fee agreement, and injectables physician consultation orders, policies for that, medication storage, HIPAA, advertising information. So it's a great place to, take advantage of somebody else who has dealt with all the lawyers to get weeded through this.
Cassie, so just to be clear, if you're watching and you're like, I really want an injectables business and I don't know what the hell to do about it, Cassie knows. She's your resource. She's your go-to. Like, you don't have to figure it all out on your own, because Cassie's done it and she's waiting. She's literally waiting to connect with you so that you can begin to have Botox parties. I mean,
it's so fun. It's such a fun side gig. And I love that it's your own business. I have nothing against MLMs, nothing at all. And they're giving you a box of like how to start a business, which is great. But I think the ownership of something like this is so great. I wanted to make sure I hit on the last place that I would look for researching your state, and this is listed last for a reason, is the Board of Nursing. And yes, because this was one of the first places I reached out to. The Board of Nursing is out there to protect the patients, which is great. We need them out there. They are not out there to protect your practice, you getting to do what you want in your practice. So they're going to be incredibly conservative in their response to you. And essentially, if you were to ever have an issue that you were a complaint, whether it's like a patient complaint, the Board of Nursing would be the regulatory board that's actually that would be looking into you. So Board of Nursing is a great resource. I think that they're a good resource for like a specific question. So for example, for me, I reach out to the Board of Nursing. Can a CRNA in the state of Virginia perform an H&P? So that was something that it was helpful, but they're not, you want to start with your professional association. And since it is so great, I've had people come to me and say that they hired a lawyer to help them figure this out, and the lawyer just ended up not charging them because they couldn't get it figured out. Yep. So the Board of Nursing is going to be incredibly conservative because they don't want to deal with any issues. So that's why I list them last. They're still a good resource. They're still wonderful, but I'd start in those other places.
Okay. All right. So give us the high level. So number one was go to your professional association. Number
two is find another practicing provider.
Somebody who's doing the work that you want to be doing and who's probably a couple steps ahead of you. Okay.
I'd say number 3 would be me. Number 4 would be a malpractice attorney in your area that has aesthetics, like medical spa experience and nursing experience. And then lastly would be the Board of Nursing.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Okay, Cassie just broke it down for you. Okay, if you're like, wow, injectables, woo!
It's
So
hard work, but it's fun. It's super fun. I meet like every party I go to, every new client I get, I'm like, these are just people I'd be friends with, and we all end up being friends. And it's, I never got that where they say, if you do what you love, you never work a day. And I love anesthesia. And so, but this is like, I'm like, oh, this is just really fun
this
and
is like,
rewarding.
it's like great. Yeah, exactly. And
A
tell
lot of
people,
person-
remind people how you started. Like, why did you start? How did you start Botox?
I just had a fair amount of friends that were getting it and they looked amazing. And I just thought it would be fun to do it. I was like, I could do this. And I mulled on it for years. I didn't jump on it. And then I finally was like, I've been wanting to do this for years. Like I should just do it. I took a class and I really would love to put a plug in there too for Aura Academy is who trained me. And she is also NP only. And I love going to a class where other people are starting at your same level.
Yeah.
You're not having to explain like this is a syringe because a huge variety of people can inject. So I think it's great to find something specific. She's another CRNA. I'm actually going to be training people in Virginia for her company. So if you end up wanting to do your hands-on training in Virginia, you can come train with me as well. But she's getting all of her classes online. So she's Aura Academy. Her name's Suzanne Jagger.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Good place to start. She's another great resource.
Okay. All right, good. Okay. So you guys have resources, you have steps, and you know that you can very easily connect with Cassie on this platform. You can send her a DM. You can go to injectablesedu.com, reach out. She is a resource for you and here, but you ultimately must take the first step. Okay.
And thank you for making this group for NPs.
You're
It's
welcome.
such a great place, and I can see why everybody loves it.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you. And two, if you guys are watching, you're like, I've got a side hustle. I want to get on there. I'd love to interview other advanced practice nurses who are hustling, right? Not because of the hustle, but because they're trying to get to that next level. They're trying to get to the beachfront condo. That's my shtick, right? And so if that is you, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to interview you. So, all right, Cassie, excellent work. I'm so happy that you were here, and thank you for sharing your time today. And if you are out there watching, reach out to Cassie, take the first step and get going. It's so much easier than it is to sit in that stage of like, I don't know, should I do? What should I do? Yeah. Just send the DM. That's the first step. Okay. So, all right. Thanks, Cassie. Have a good one. Okay.
Bye, Ann. Thank you.
Okay.